All right, we are starting the stream.
Okay.
Lauren, you are alive, you are alive!
A very good morning to you all. A very, very good morning. Today is a very special day with a lot of mixed emotions. So before I go further, it's Lauren here, your Scottish underwater biologist, and we have your Hungarian cameraman Emil on camera, and of course my partner in crime, Pat the Aussie on the surface. Now today is the last day of broadcasting for phase 1. We will be back for phase 2 at some point. So this is my last dive under the water, and we're somewhere very special. So today we're going to do the first dive at this wreck, and this is called Doc Paulson. And this ship was actually a Japanese cable laying ship, and it was sunk here in 1981, so it's even older than I am. And it just was sunk for the purpose of an artificial reef, and you will see that it's been incredibly successful. It really has turned into a beautiful reef. So we're going to go around it very, very, very slowly. And this ship is actually named after a real Dr. Paulson, who was one of the first medical doctors for diving related stuff. So the ship is in the middle of a sandy patch, so I am hoping to see a huge range of things swim by today. So please send in any questions you have relevant to what we're seeing. It's very shallow. Well, not that shallow. I am at 15 meters, but we will be staying on top of the wreck. So I hope you all enjoy this dive, and over to Pat for now.
Welcome everybody. Yeah, it's a very exciting day, and we are glad to have you all down diving with us. So if you do have anything that you would like to see for our last day of diving, please do send it in. If you are on Twitter, use that hashtag diveLIVE. So what's the visibility like? It's looking pretty good down there today, Lauren.
Oh, it's actually not so good. I can't really see off into the distance. But I just want to show you something. If you have a look at this, there's like a big knot here in this Gorgonian. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. What
it
is
looks
that?
like a bird's nest, but I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, perhaps it is maybe to hold in some eggs, or I really don't know.
It's a bit bizarre. Anyway, I just thought I would point that out. Yeah. So we are going to go around the wreck very slowly. The slower we go, the more we can see. I am guessing some stingrays will float on by, and I'm always hopeful for a turtle, of course. Now there is a huge school of jacks going around, and I'm talking big jacks. So we're also going to point them out to you. So let's see what we can find.
Let's go to CCC and see what we can CCC. So we have a question here from Betty. She's asking, how long has the ship been down there?
Well, I think I mentioned it got sank in 1981, so I'm not going to be able to do the maths right now off the top of my head. But yeah, maybe Pat can work that out.
Yeah, so that was 37 years ago.
Yeah. And it's really beautiful. I actually visited this wreck last week, and I just find it incredibly cute. It's really not big at all. I'm sure during this dive we are going to circle it a few times. It is just really became what it was supposed to be. So it was sank for the purpose of an artificial reef, which just means that it creates more available hard substrate, a hard surface for things to start growing on. So over on the coral reef, there's coral reefs surrounding us in every direction. Everything is in constant competition with one another. Corals, sponges, algae, all sorts of things fighting for space. So by sinking this ship, It's creating a huge area of space for all sorts of organisms. So not only that, not only have you got sponges growing, corals growing, gorgonians, algae, everything, inside all the little hidey holes will be a perfect shelter for fish and animals that want to hide out. So let's take a closer look. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if we could find a frogfish?
Oh, that would be insane if we could find one of those. I would love a good frogfish. We haven't seen one since we've been here, have we?
No. No, a frogfish would be the ultimate find. I did just see a really unusual looking fish there. Sorry, that's why I halted there, but it's disappeared. We are at 119 on our species list, so wouldn't it be great to add in a few more on the last dives?
Yes, we'll never give up on this one, and hopefully, yeah, we can find something really interesting today. Something challenging to identify.
So if Emil can just sort of point over here, I'm going to demonstrate just on this section. I have no idea what this is on the ship, but it's some sort of structure. You're able to see the diversity of life forms growing on it, very close to one another. So this sort of, I don't know, do you have any idea what the structure is, Pat?
I would only be guessing, but I'm assuming it has something to do with the motor, seeing as it's rotary looking.
Okay, we'll go with that. But this is just providing a huge surface for so many things. And we got a grouper hiding out here. We got a squirrelfish, flower coral, other types of coral, brain coral, sponges, tunicate. Everything has just utilised this barren surface, obviously when it first put down there, and used it to grow. So that is the actual purpose of artificial reefs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
We can see a really diverse range of colours, and you kind of answered Take Care's question there as well. He was asking whether the same corals grow on shipwrecks as they do on coral reefs, and we can see that this is very similar to Casuarina Point.
Yep, so it's just when corals spawn, the larvae will settle somewhere, and they need to settle on some sort of substrate. They can't just land on sand. It has to be a fixed, hard surface, and then they will flourish and grow. So this has created the sort of perfect flat surface, if you like, and it seems to be in really good shape. There's a lot of life around here, and the jacks are circling, so once they come near, we're going to get a really good shot for you all of these huge horse-eye jacks. We do have horse-eye jacks at the Devil's Grotto, but these ones are massive. They're obviously very well-fed jacks.
And we just have one more coral question here. So it is from... where are we? So Timothy wants to know, how does the coral actually attach itself to the ship?
Oh, Pat, you might be better at this one than me.
Yeah, sure. So on the underside of a coral polyp is a structure called a pedal disc. So like a bike pedal disc. And this is actually what holds it in place on the substrate.
Yeah, and then they begin to grow from there. But a lot of the colonies here are actually quite big, and size directly correlates to age in a coral. So you can work out how old it is by the sort of size of the colony. And some of the colonies are just huge, which means they've been around a pretty long time. I would guess a lot of them, since the shipwreck itself is 37 years, did you say, Pat?
Yeah, about that, yep.
Yeah, so a lot of them will be around the 30-year mark. But of course, there is still space where algae hasn't quite overgrown it all, so there is still room for more organisms to settle. I would imagine this would be a great hideout at night time.
Yeah, most definitely. It's very complex, and we just have a few people speculating as to what the ship was used for. So I think you may have mentioned it earlier, Lauren, but do you just want to tell us again what it was used for?
I believe it was a Japanese cable laying ship. So it is really small. I'm not the best at judging size, but it's really one of the smallest shipwrecks I've ever seen. So it obviously didn't have a huge load of cargo on it. So yeah, I believe it was a Japanese cable laying ship that wound its way to the Grand Cayman. And its purpose was obviously sort of finished, and they decided to sink it to become an artificial reef. Now this would be the perfect environment for things like scorpion fish. So that is exactly what I am on the lookout for right now. Are you getting a good view of the whole ship here?
Yeah, we can really see it's quite a good habitat for all these corals. You can see just heaps of gorgonians there draping off the sides. It's quite beautiful.
Yeah. Every form and function is here. And the oh, look at this. Oh my god, he's huge. Look at that grouper. He just came out the hole. Massive. Good morning. I don't think you realised we were here. I think this is either a tiger or a yellowfin grouper.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It does look to be a yellowfin. We can see a little yellow margin there on the side, but do you want me to get the ID book up just in case?
Yeah, just so we can get an exact idea. I'm not the best at groupers. But yeah, this guy's huge. He's reaching the meter mark, so around 3 feet. Oh, wow, and he's very stationary, so I wonder if he just came out his little hidey hole and he's hoping to be clean. Hey little guy, so groupers are much further up the food chain, and they're notorious for having these big fat lips and robust jaws. Now these do house a lot of sharp teeth, but to be honest, they feed mainly by opening their mouth, creating a sort of suction and drawing the prey in and almost swallowing it whole. And look at those teeth. I'm sure you're getting a great view of them now. So I believe this grouper sort of just came out of its hiding, and it is really after a clean.
So it seems like this is the tiger grouper.
Oh, okay. The tiger and the yellowfin are quite similar to me. But yeah, shipwrecks in general all over the world are really famous for having groupers inside of them. They kind of just make the most of the little house. Oh, this one, I'm really close to this guy. He's not scared at all. Hello. I'm not the one cleaning you.
Yeah, it really does seem to be almost in a bit of a trance there.
Yeah, very relaxed. He mustn't be threatened by humans. And we do have another little juvenile here. I think it is a juvenile grouper. It's just resting on the... Oh, it's just gone under a little ledge. Let's see if it comes back out. I'm hoping Pat can maybe give us an ID on that. Let's just be patient. Sometimes these fish just pop in and out of the holes. Wow, this grouper is huge.
And now that I'm looking at it from a bit further back, I'd stand corrected. I reckon this one is the yellowfin. We can really see it's got a yellow margin there on its pectoral fin.
Yeah, you can see that. Its mouth is very orange, and the teeth are really protruding from its mouth. This must be the boss of the ship, the captain of the ship, shall we say.
So, Jack Lewin, just to clarify, this is called the Doc Poulson, the shipwreck. So it's DOCPOULSON.
Yes, we were lucky enough to sort of visit it last week, and I decided I have to come back here and show you all. It is such a lovely shipwreck with a lot of life forms on it. It's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, and this is actually right near where we spotted the seahorse the other day, so hopefully it's still hanging about somewhere here.
Yeah, imagine if we spotted it. I do feel like a loggerhead's going to come on by, so you never know.
Well, we've got a opposite end of the scale there with the... Oh, wow, that's perfect timing. We had a tiny little Gravesby there, and that big group has just come across and shown us how big it actually is.
Yeah, he's just following us. He's like really just very chilled for a fish, and he's gone back inside. So this may be where his little hideout is. A lot of fish feel very protected and safe inside. I wonder what else lives in there. The horse-eye jacks are really circling us. There's a lot of them. Once they come a little bit closer, we'll try and give you a good view of them. Just going to go on top of the ship. Oh, here comes the trio, Emil. The trio of horse-eyes.
Oh, wow, are they also... Oh, wow, yeah, big school of them now.
Yeah, they're the small ones, so the big ones are here. Actually, they're all surrounding us.
So that I have heard that sometimes horse-eyed jacks are attracted to divers' bubbles, so perhaps that's why they're coming over this way, but who knows?
They are quite curious fish. They're definitely not really scared of humans. I'm sure I can say that. They really don't mind when you sort of swim alongside them and try to join the school. I just cannot get my head around the amount of life forms growing on this ship, which is essentially just a piece of metal. It's just phenomenal.
It really does look beautiful, and we can see that the Gorgonians aren't really moving that much, so does that mean that there's not really any current down there, Lauren?
No, there's not much current at all.
That's good.
Which makes it an easier dive for me. So maybe Emil can give you a little peek inside. We definitely can't go inside the ship, but maybe he can show you what it looks like inside.
And Richard is saying that he thinks he remembers that Finn the nurse shark actually hangs out around here. So we have heard of Finn the nurse shark.
Oh yeah, we've heard of that one too. Yeah, this would be a perfect environment for nurse sharks. Emil's actually going to give you guys a little look inside, so I'm sure it's going to look a little bit spooky and eerie. But Pat, I am not there, so you are my eyes. If you spot anything exciting lurking down there, let us know.
Yeah, most definitely. It does really look kind of eerie, a little bit haunted almost. But as for organisms, it's mostly just attached sponges and a few bits of algae that I can see right now. There's a couple of squirrelfish down here as well.
Our favourite squirrelfish. So yeah, that's what it looks like inside a very small little shipwreck.
And you might also notice that there's not really any corals growing down there, and that is because it's past where sunlight can really penetrate sufficiently, as they do use photosynthesis to, well, the algae that lives inside of them use photosynthesis to provide the corals with energy. And so where there's not really sunlight, you're not really going to find corals either.
That's such a good point, Pat. Yeah, corals need sunlight, so you really won't find them somewhere dark. Great point. The last time I came here, I did actually see a very severely injured stingray. It was missing part of its wing and its whole tail. So I was kind of hoping to bump into that guy again, so I'll keep my eye out. But the Horse-Eye Jack School is coming along to see us. Man, there's so many Horse-Eye Jacks here. These ones are quite small. There is a big monster lurking around. I'll keep my eye out for him.
And they all seem to be on a bit of a mission right now.
Yeah, they just keep circling the ship. Going round and round and round.
They're really boosting. So they are quick fish, they are a predatory fish, and they have really flattened, almost disc-like bodies, but they're super muscular, so they're really efficient in their movements, and they can really generate a lot of speed, not only because of their body shape, but also because of their tail shape. So they have a deeply forked tail, which kind of helps out with drag, whilst also increasing the amount of surface area that's coming in contact with the water.
Yes, I'm just having a look on top of the ship now to see if there's anything exciting here, making sure I don't touch anything. I am really looking for those scorpion fish that I've heard about. That would be a great find. But if not, we'll show you the top and then we will head out to the reef.
The amount of gorgonians, the density is really just surprising.
I know, Pat does love these gorgonians. Yeah, it's just beautiful, it's just very scenic. I'm sure there's a lot of animals down here that I probably have missed. But it's very, very beautiful to look at. We're just going to do a little circle around and then we will probably head to the reef.
And don't forget, if you do have any questions, please do send them in. We'd really love to be put to the test. So anything you can think of about what you're seeing on the screen, please send them in.
Yeah, please do. This is my last chance to answer any questions underwater with you all. Pat will be there next, but sadly this is my last inside. There's just so much to see, probably too much for one dive. You probably need to keep coming down here and spotting things.
Yeah, the diversity of sessile organisms just looks unreal.
Yeah, what Pat means by that is sessile organisms don't move. So just like your sponges and your algae and your corals, they're fixed. They're not able to sort of get up and move about or swim about. A lot of blue tangs here. They're always constantly grazing on the algae, which is a good thing. It keeps the algae from overgrowing and smothering the ship and taking up all the space that would be used for coral growth. So algae is important to the ecosystems. It does get a really bad reputation, but it is important. And if algae was to completely overgrow this ship, then it probably would be very ugly and it would prevent other things from growing on it.
Yeah, just like anything in an ecosystem, it's all about finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, well I think we've circled the ship quite a few times. So we're going to swim over the sandy patch onto the reef and see what we can spot over there.
Yes, and we do hope that a ray of some sort, whether it be an eagle or a southern stingray, we hope it does come past while we're crossing this sandy patch.
Yeah, the last time I was here I saw 3. So I am looking really, really carefully out onto the sand. And hopefully one will swim by. But let's see. So it's just a short swim to the reef in front of us. It's very, very close, and let's see what this reef brings.
And Marcy was asking, how long does it take the coral to grow on that ship?
It's kind of not a possible question to answer. Each different species of coral has a different growth rate. So it would depend on what species it is, but in general, corals are very slow growing. They're one of the slowest sessile organisms to grow, but the fastest one is actually the acropora, the staghorn branching coral that we do show you regularly during live dive. And they grow around, on average, about 10 centimeters per year, and that is the fastest. There is some corals that only grow about 2 millimeters per year. So unfortunately it takes corals a long time to reach the size that we see around here. Alright, so we made it onto the reef. It's very exciting to be swimming on a new reef. And it would be awesome to get a turtle sighting here.
Yeah, definitely. It would be even better if it was a green or maybe even a loggerhead.
Yes. We have hoped to see more loggerheads on our live dives. I have never seen one in the wild, which makes me very sad. So you never know, I might get one on my last dive. So this reef that we're on this now is actually a continuation of the reefs we normally dive at. It's just one big long reef that goes around the whole island. So it is all attached. They just have different names to make it easier when describing dive sites. But it is pretty much just one continuation of the reef along the side of Grand Cayman.
And Lauren, can we please get an air check?
Sure. I have got 130 bar, and we're still at 13 meters. We're still a little bit deeper, but I got plenty time down here with you.
Yeah, wow, it's very conservative on your air.
Yeah, I'm good on the air. Talking to you all does make me go through my air a little bit faster, but I think I've drastically improved. We do have a beautiful lionfish, a perfect fish for the last dive. We do show them a lot on live dive, but I guess they're an integral, important part of the ecosystems down here now. They never used to be, but they are now. So they're an invasive species, and this is a full-grown adult red lionfish. And the funny thing is, normally they're hidden. They're sort of facing into a dark crevice or a dark hole. They're not normally exposed like this, but this guy is fully out, and I'm sure you got a great view of his face there.
Yeah, really good view, and we can really see those sensory organs there dangling kind of down from its chin and pointing out like it's got spiky eyebrows or horns or something like that.
Yeah, it does give them a quite peculiar look. And you can see that huge array of the beautiful feathers. And those are obviously venomous. The lionfish is a venomous fish. It does contain venom, and it would seriously injure us if we were to handle it. And of course, for a small fish, it would definitely be fatal. Now you may notice this guy is not bothered by us at all. He's just swimming around. He actually was swimming towards us at one point. And that is because lionfish are very confident in their place in the ecosystem. They really are aware that they don't have any natural predators here in the Grand Cayman, and they're very aware of the fact that they are surrounded by this plumage of feathers which protects them. They're very confident fish, and like I said, they don't have any natural predators, so here in Grand Cayman people do spear them. It is regulated and very controlled, but the population numbers have just exploded because nothing is eating them. So they are slightly out of control here. And on some reefs just off the coast of Florida, you can find 1,000 lionfish per acre. So there's a lot of lionfish, and unfortunately they are eating up all the juvenile reef fish, which is a huge problem, as we need the juvenile reef fish. So they became a massive problem in the Caribbean region.
Yeah, definitely. And as hard as the spear fishermen are trying, they are still obviously present, but they are doing their best. And yes, Gail, they are eaten as well after they have been speared.
Yeah, there is some delicious lionfish curries going around. And believe it or not, well, obviously you have to be very careful when handling a lionfish. But even after the animal is dead, these spines or feathers can still deliver a fatal sting. So be very, very careful if you are handling a lionfish.
So we have a question here from Proud Cat Mama. How often does a lionfish reproduce?
Oh, I'm not sure. Do you know that one, Pat?
I'm not sure how often, but I know that they only take a year to become sexually mature, which in contrast to some other fish on the reef is very quickly, and that they also produce very large amounts of eggs as well, so they reproduce in vast numbers.
Yeah, they really do. That's why they have managed to be so successful here.
And yeah, I think it's about 4 times a year that they will reproduce as well. So yeah, 4 times every year after 1 year. You can imagine that's going to build up very quickly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't actually know that.
And just to give you an idea on how many eggs they can produce, it can be up to 2 million per female.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's definitely why the population numbers really are on the rise. So you can still continue to ask questions about lionfish, but both Emil and I are just going to swim on to explore the area a little bit further and see what we can find. It's a whole new world down here, and it does remind me of a song from Disney, but I'm not going to sing that. I will not put you through that. But this is a new site, so I really don't know what we are going to see. It would be great to get that golden hamlet, wouldn't it, Pat?
Oh yeah, that would be unreal. So it looks like we got a brittle star right here.
Oh, okay, I'm a little bit further away, so... Yeah, brittle stars are normally everywhere. They are nocturnal, so they do hide during the day, but very often you can sort of see one of their legs kicking out, and you know that there's a brittle star hiding in there. So brittle stars are not sea stars, they're separate from them. They are in the same phylum, of course, but they're not in the same family as sea stars or starfish. They are slightly creepy looking. They do have a very small central disc which houses all their important organs, and they do have these very thin, long, hairy legs, which is just a little bit creepy for me. But their legs are very brittle, and they can break off their legs and regrow them, which is where their name does come from. And they're very often found in sponges, so even if you are just swimming along and you take a little look inside a sponge, normally there will be a brittle star hiding out in there.
Yeah, and they are quite curious looking animals. I mean, they are still very closely related to the sea stars, but obviously the properties of those arms there are very different, much more brittle.
Yeah. So we just came up, just swam a little bit shallower. The reef seems to go up to a peak, so I just want to reach here and see what is past that. So travel with us, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them on the way.
Well, we actually have one about the brittle stars. So Marcy wants to know if they were to lose a leg, as she's calling them, would they be able to grow it back?
Yes, they can regenerate them. That is a beautiful thing about being a brittle star. You can just, if a predator does sort of latch onto one of your arms, you can just break it off, and then you can regenerate it over time. Oh, this reef is really beautiful down here.
Yeah, it does. It looks very complex, and there's a lot of different little corals there. Virginia's actually requesting some close-ups of any cool corals that you might come across.
Okay, so we'll give you a close-up of a hard coral. So let me find one for you. A particularly big one would be great. corals are everywhere, but when someone asks you to find one, it's like, which one do I go for?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Emil has one now. So this is a hard coral or a stony coral, and I'm sure Emil is getting you nice and close.
We really can see them. So they're obviously not opened at the moment. They are retracted inside of its little skeleton there.
Yeah, so the coral that you're looking at, it's just, coral is quite a general name for this sort of whole colonies. Coral is actually made up of tiny individual little animals called polyps, and they are in the same family as jellyfish, and they do all come together to form these colonies that you're seeing in front of you right now. And these little polyps, you can't they are housed inside of different ways. The first one is by this sort of symbiotic relationship with algae, which photosynthesizes using the sun and provides food for the coral. But obviously when the sun goes down, the algae cannot photosynthesize any longer, and it will stick out its tentacles and try and pluck water, food from the water that is drifting past, but it doesn't get nearly as the same amount as nutrition this way. It does heavily rely on the food that is produced by the algae.
Now, Lauren, Gail's got a coral question here, and I'm happy to take this one if you like. It's what is the difference between hard and soft corals?
Over to you, Pat. This is your area.
So hard corals, or your stony corals, are the ones that we do see that actually form the reef. So they are the building blocks of the reef because they are hard, and even if they are to die off, their skeleton can still leave a good substrate for other corals to settle on. So they are actually what forms the basis of every coral reef. Now, your soft corals, like your gorgonians that we are seeing right now, they are different in that they have more protein than calcium carbonate in their skeletons, and so this gives them a really flexible, rigid kind of shape. So they extend up. So they don't actually form much of the structure of a reef, but they still do benefit in that they can buffer against wave action and water movement. So they literally do kind of act as fans almost that stop the flow of water from destructing the reef too much. And they also do provide habitat for some fish, such as the trumpet fish or a barracuda that does like to hide in amongst them.
So, I don't want to interrupt you, Pat. I'm just trying to point something out to Emil. We did mention Acropora earlier, and this is it here. This is Acropora cervicornis. And this whole colony has actually died quite a long time ago because it's completely overgrown with algae. But you can see a little juvenile part just sticking up there. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, we can. Just that tiny little growth there. So it's just showing the coral persistence.
Yeah, so I did mention that these are the fastest growing, and here, this little part that you can see is just a few centimeters long is definitely a sort of juvenile colony that is starting to grow. And corals will always grow upwards towards the sunlight. They're all fighting for space, but they need to grow this way to maximize their exposure to the sun. And there's been so many different experiments done that even if you sort of point a coral downwards, or you hide it under a ledge, it's going to sort of continue to grow in a weird form until it can start that growth upwards towards the sun. So it is amazing. They know they need the sunlight, and no matter what, they will find their way to grow upwards.
Yeah, and it's traits like this that really can make us forgive those in the past that have thought that corals are plants, because just of their growth forms and patterns. They do require sunlight just like plants, but they are still animals.
Yeah, and they do require the sunlight for the algae that is inside of them. So for being a really small, simple animal, it is actually quite a complex explanation when it comes to coral. because they do house this little piece of algae that is actually called zooanthelle. So it's quite a long name, you don't need to remember that. But it's a highly specialised relationship between the coral and the algae.
So we have a question from Spas, and he wants to know what might make a coral colony die.
Oh, that's really interesting. And just a quick shout out to you, Spas. You've been a great supporter since day one, so thank you for that. Well, coral, unfortunately, are really fussy. They're very, I call them females because they're very fussy. They only like a very specific and narrow range of temperatures. So predominantly the number one killer of colonies is when the temperature gets too high. And this is actually happening a lot around the world from El Niños, which are becoming more and more frequent. And they're bringing in more and more waters, which raises the temperatures, and the corals cannot stand it. But that is not all. Also, sedimentation. Sort of one of the biggest killers at the moment, and it's a really hot topic, is sun cream. There's a lot of evidence that's saying, obviously, if you're a holiday maker and you slap on the sun cream and then you go swimming, that can actually kill a lot of the corals. And one of the most famous studies was done on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, Pat's Land. And there was a significant evidence that showed sun cream does kill the coral. So it's important now to think about your sun cream usage. Obviously you have to protect your skin, but there are a lot of brands out there now that are offering reef-safe sun cream. So people really need to start thinking about that. And I do believe Hawaii has recently banned sun cream when snorkeling. I don't know if Pat maybe knows more about that. But yes, pollution, any sort of runoff from land, so many things can damage the coral. And also humans. If we are snorkeling and we are diving, it's really, really important not to touch anything and not to stand on anything. Corals are very fragile.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And we just have a little bit more of an expanding question on that. So, Proud Cat Mama wants to know, how does land-based pollution affect coral reefs?
Oh, it does, yep. So any sort of pollution from land that comes into the water, which is a lot, you would be surprised, ultimately kills the coral. And once you start to lose your coral, which I've actually witnessed when I was working in Maldives, we had the most beautiful reef. It was called our coral garden. It was stunning. It was filled with so much hard corals. And due to the El Nino of 2016, it all just died. And once you start to lose the coral, algae will overgrow and the whole balance of the ecosystem will be out. The fish life will change, fish will leave, megafauna will go, and the whole environment became completely different. So that's exactly what would happen if any form of pollution starts to kill the reef. Now, within a really small space here, we have like 10 sea cucumbers all scattered around here. It's very random. But this one, I believe, is a donkey dung sea cucumber.
Yes, it looks like it.
Yeah, I don't know why there's so many sea cucumbers around here. But yeah, this is actually a very close relative of the brittle star, I guess. They're grouped together in the echinoderms grouping. And we haven't shown sea cucumbers for a while until recently. We started to see quite a few of them. In this one, although it has quite an unfortunate name, it is actually quite short, but very fat. And I'm sure Emil's getting a close look at it. You could easily swim over this and mistake it for something else, not fully realising that it is an animal.
Yeah, they really don't look like they do much, but they actually have some interesting traits to them. I mean, for something that just sits there, well, not completely motionless, but a lot of the time motionless on the sand, they actually have some interesting ways of life. One of them being self-evisceration, meaning that they will actually expel the contents of their not the contents of their stomach, sorry, their entire kind of digestive system will be expelled when they feel threatened to warn off predators.
Yeah, it's actually all their internal organs that they can expel during this evisceration. It's an incredible phenomena, and they're sort of learning a lot more about it, and think the sea cucumbers do it on purpose, regularly, in order to sort of purge themselves, get rid of all the waste and toxins, and start again. And they can begin the process of regenerating their internal organ, and it takes between a number of days to a few weeks, which is really not long to sort of regrow your own internal organs. But not only that, they can actually expel white long tubules called Severian tubules, which are very toxic and very, very sticky. If you were to ever touch them, it would almost be like super glue, and it would create a huge mess. And they are able to expel these through their anus, and this is a sort of self-defense to protect themselves against predators. So they kind of do just look like, well, donkey dung, to be honest. Doesn't look like much, but they're actually really incredible animals that are able to defend themselves in quite a number of interesting ways.
Yeah, they are quite fascinating creatures. So we have a question here, and it is asking, sorry, I've just lost it. Timothy wants to know, how long do sea cucumbers live?
I think it does depend on the species, but I'm pretty sure it's between 10 to 15 years. I think they are quite long-living animals. Do you have any more information on that, Pat?
Yeah, I've kind of heard 5 to 10 years, but also, yeah, dependent on species. So, yeah, I'm sure it's within the 5 to 15-year range.
But they are becoming really popular. They're being used in a lot of delicacies, especially all throughout Asia. You can actually make sea cucumber soup. Definitely not something I want to try, so they are being farmed all around the world now. There's a lot of people that do hunt for sea cucumbers, and they're incredibly slow moving. This little guy here is not moving, but they do have sort of tube feet that they are able to walk on, if you like, across the sea floor. But they really don't get anywhere fast. Their waste, it's actually really, really important to the ecosystem of nutrients. They basically recycle nutrients and they excrete them out, which is really important for the ecosystem. So that is their sort of main ecological role around here. But there's a lot of them. Everywhere I look, I see a sea cucumber.
Purpose of the sea cucumbers, so good telepathy there, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm a mind reader. They can actually excrete around 99 pounds not a problem. We are going to try and get the horse-eye jacks back on for you, because they are just going around this shipwreck constantly. So it must be their sort of territory, and I can see them already. So we'll try and get them for you before we have to sadly go back up to the surface. If only I had gills.
Well, yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Lauren, you go?
No, nothing. On you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, the funny thing is that humans are actually, when we are developing as fetuses, we do have pharyngeal gills. So we are not born with gills, but we do have them in a part of our development.
I know, if only we were able to keep them. But to be honest, I don't think I would be able to survive the cold. Being a pathetic Scottish person, when it gets cold, I'm out. So your body temperature does drop down here. So even if I did have gills, I think I would be the worst fish ever. But we have the horse eyes. Now these are just 3 that have been together since we first came down here. And I kid you not, these guys are massive. Much bigger than the ones we normally see in the grotto.
Do you know approximately how big you think they would be?
The one closest to us, I'm pretty sure Emil's got it, is well over a metre. I would say like 1.2 to 1.4.
Wow. So that's almost 5 feet long, so that is a big fish.
Yeah, okay, maybe a metre. Yeah, just slightly over. Okay, it's just huge. Now, jacks do get very big, especially ones like the blackjack. But this is the first time I've ever seen a horse-eye jack that size. I definitely don't think it's the norm.
Yeah, there must be something in the water out here.
So I actually see, now that I'm swimming over the shipwreck, a lot of these Gorgonians have those big knots in the big balls that we saw the first time. I think it's sargassum.
Oh yeah, maybe it's collected.
I think it's got a whole ball of sargassum and it's wrapped around it. Just very random, I just thought I would point that out. So Pat, any last questions?
Let me have a look here. So going back to the sea cucumber, Proud Cat Mama was asking, how do they breathe?
Oh, I just love to talk about this. Well, they do have a separate mouth and anus at either end, so some animals don't. But sea cucumbers are a little bit more developed. They have a mouth and an anus, but the mouth is only for eating. They breathe through their anus. They actually have a respiratory tree from their anus in their body, so that is actually how they breathe. So it does open and close, which sounds a bit strange, but this actually gives access for some naughty fish called the pearlfish to come inside the anus and live there. So unfortunate for the sea cucumber, there are some species of fish which seek refuge and shelter inside of their anus. But they're not parasitic, they just are looking for a home, shall we say? But there is one species, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, which is parasitic, and it does actually eat the sea cucumber's gonads from inside out. So it's a little bit unfortunate to be a sea cucumber. To avoid letting these fish in, they would have to sort of clench, but clenching means they can't breathe. So unfortunate, there is fish that know this and will sniff out a sea cucumber's bottom from a mile away.
Oh man, it's hard to keep a straight face sometimes when you talk about this.
Luckily I'm underwater. It is the weird and wonderful of the ocean, and thank goodness that doesn't happen to us. I don't want any pearlfish in my bottom.
Yeah, Linda is... Oh.
So I think that is it. Can you believe it? My last dive of diveLIVE has finally came to an end. Oh, it's a little bit emotional. I do feel mixed feelings about this. But just a few things for you all. Phase 1 has been an incredible success. And it's all because of you guys and your support. We have learned a lot. We have improved a lot. We came through Oz to you all, connecting you all with the fantastic nature down here and being able to answer your questions. I cannot thank my diveLIVE family enough. We will be back with phase 2. That's all we can say on the matter right now. But now it's time to take a break and learn. Take everything from phase 1 that we can in order to move forward, be bigger and better. So thank you so much. Thank you to Emil for being my awesome cameraman. Thank you to Pat for always being there for me through thick and thin. And thank you to everyone who has supported us. Once again, we really couldn't have done it without all of you. So from my heart, a big thank you. It is time to say goodbye for now, but I will be on the surface next. And I'm very sure we will see you all soon. So take care for now.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, diveLIVE viewers. Please do tune in for 11 AM Grand Cayman time for our last dive of phase 1. I hope to see you all then.